boogity, boogity, boys. Let's go racing.
Trouble began when
Boogity, 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 boys.
September.
Get out of there, get out of there.
Now 4 can play off one cartridge. Mario Kart for Game Boy Advance. Rated E for everyone.
Steffi, do I just have Mad Max on the brain, or do you think George Miller directed that?
Wouldn't be surprised.
Anyway, good evening, folks. Hope you all had a good work week. And tonight we're having another round of Mario Kart. And joining me as always is my good friend Steffi, the MLG Panda. How you doing tonight, Steffi?
I'm doing great. I hope everyone else out there is as well.
All right, so Mario Kart Super Circuit. What do you know about this game, Steffi?
I know it was on the Game Boy Advance, and it was one of the games I missed out on as a kid.
Yeah, and that's sort of my experience with the game too. Like Mario Kart Super Circuit, it's one of those games that I knew existed growing up. I think I played a little bit of it on my friend's GPA at a barbecue, but that's about the extent of my experience with it until college. And in regards to the history behind this game, there actually isn't a whole lot to talk about, Steffi. There's no like weird development issues or something along those lines. Development was pretty smooth, all things considered, but what I think you might be most interested in is who actually made this game for Nintendo. It was actually made by a company called Intelligent Systems. Does that ring any bells for you?
No.
Well, it should. Intelligent Systems is actually one of Nintendo's longest-running second-party developers. They made the Fire Emblem, the Advanced War series, and what would be significant for you, Steffi, is that they also made the Paper Mario series.
Oh.
Yeah, so a pretty great pedigree there in regards to developer. And from what most people agree is that they did a really good job with Mario Kart Super Circuit. The game was pretty well rated when it came out, and it was a big seller on the Game Boy Advance, but really, you release anything on the Game Boy Advance, it was going to be successful. It was the only time Nintendo had brought a console to market without any real competition. There were no other handheld consoles during that generation. But Mario Kart Super Circuit occupies sort of a weird place within the history of the franchise. While people do remember it, it's not as fondly remembered as something like Super Mario Kart or Mario Kart 64, and it's primarily because a lot of people felt it took some steps backwards. You still with me, Steffi? Steffi's microphone must have gone out again. We're still having some issues with Discord, so I'm going to go ahead and get the game started. Like always, we're going to be playing the game via Nintendo Switch Online. And it really is great that we can play these games together in this manner. Like, that's a great feature for Nintendo Switch owners to play old Game Boy games multiplayer. A few games I hope to play like that. Okay, so I hope Steffi is still with me. Pretty standard title screen. Pretty standard title screen, all things considered. Excuse me, guys, I'm having an issue with my headphone. Okay, so multiplayer link. See if Steffi is still with me. You there, Steffi?
I'm here.
Issue with the microphone again?
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the screen share for right now and just watch on my Switch.
That's probably for the best. And in regards to that, folks, we can't do split screen in this manner when we're playing like this, so you guys are mostly going to be looking at my screen, but know that Steffi is in there.
Yep, I'll be playing as Peach.
And I just remembered that I need to turn off the music I had playing. I swear, I take so much time to set these streams up, and I usually do screw something up, don't I, Steffi?
It's just what happens when you've got a lot to take care of. And technical difficulties are inevitable, I think.
Yeah. Alright, so what CCs you want to race at, Steffi?
Let's do 100, since we're both not super familiar with this game.
Yeah, that tends to be what we do. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
Donkey Kong because I'm the big hairy ape. And you're gonna be Peach?
Yes, I am.
Figured you would have gone for Bowser.
The reason I'm picking Peach is because, of her cart.
That makes
Because
sense.
Bowser has a big heavy cart and it's harder for me.
That makes sense. So, a couple things to consider about this right here. So instead of the standard 4 tracks that you would typically have in a Mario Kart game, you actually have 5 courses. And in addition to that, if you perform certain beats in the game, you'll actually unlock another set of tracks, which is the entirety of the tracks from Super Mario Kart, which is actually a pretty big landmark in the series when you think about it, because that's the standard for Mario Kart now. You tend to have like at least 4 or 5 tracks, cups of original tracks, and then you have the same amount of old school tracks too. So that makes Super Circuit kind of an underrated landmark in the series, doesn't it, Steffi?
Yeah, I never knew that. Like, why haven't I heard about this?
Because we didn't play this when we were growing up.
I guess, but I mean, when people talk about Mario Kart, it's always like 64 that I hear about. And so why haven't I heard about this one?
Yeah, that's a good question, Steffi. Like, despite this being a very highly rated game, it just hasn't gotten the same amount of attention that other ones have. But anyway, we're going to go ahead, just do what we usually do, try to get as many races in within the hour. And with these tracks, like, you can't see them like you can in most other games in the series, but I do like these portraits that they have for all the different tracks. Those are a lot of fun, wouldn't you say, Steffi?
I think they're pretty cute.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get to the racing. Alright, so the first thing we always talk about are the controls, and just like with the other 2 Mario Kart games we play, these definitely leave something to be desired. Like, it feels like you got butter under your wheels. Every time you go to turn, you can definitely feel yourself still sliding to the side. And that can make, again, those precise movements that you need to perform in order to accurately drive kind of a pain in the ass. What do you think, Steffi? Are these any better than Super Mario Kart or Mario Kart 64?
So while I was playing this, I was comparing it a lot to Mario Kart 64 because of how slippery it feels. But something that I was thinking about is that originally you played this game on a D-pad on the Game Boy Advance, and the screen was smaller. See, we're playing it on the Switch with joysticks on a TV screen, which it wasn't really meant for. So I feel like I can be a little more forgiving with it being so slippery because it was meant to be played on a D-pad.
I don't know if I think that makes much of a difference, so I can't really say for certain. Like, I played this on the Switch as opposed to on Game Boy Advance, despite having a cartridge for it. But, you know, you might be onto something there, Steffi. But in general,
Yeah.
I don't think these controls are terribly good.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I dislike playing this game because of the controls.
And look at that, you already got a lead on me.
Well, that's just natural.
Hey, last time I checked, I beat you in the last 2 times we played Mario Kart. What makes you think this is going to be any different?
Well, I feel like we both have the same level of experience with this game.
Oh, that's fair. I like the pirate ship in the background. That's cool.
I love what they did when they brought this level onto the Mario Kart Wii, I believe.
Yeah. And all things could... That's actually a good segue into the presentation. Like, I don't think highly of the controls in this game, or really the game in general, but you gotta admit, these are some damn impressive graphics for the Game Boy Advance.
They really are.
Like, it's amazing that they were able to get basically the same character sprites from Mario 64 on the Game Boy Advance. And in addition to that, the backgrounds are super detailed too. Like, the tracks are still plain and flat, but there's definitely a lot more character to it than there was in Super Mario Kart.
Certainly.
What do you think, Steph? Ah!
What happened?
I'm in the water.
Oh, I can't see your screen, so... Anyway, so I was gonna say that I've definitely seen some very impressive graphical feats on Game Boy Advance games. I was wondering how early in the Game Boy Advance's life cycle did this game come out? Was it like a launch title, or...?
This came out just after the launch, so... But it was definitely an early game in the Game Boy Advance's life cycle. So, yeah, it definitely was a big showpiece for what the console could do at the time. And you're right,
Yeah,
Steffi.
that's great.
Like, some of the stuff they could do on the Game Boy Advance was just absolutely crazy.
I know, it's an amazing console.
Yeah, a lot of people assume that it was 16-bit, but the Game Boy Advance was actually a 32-bit console.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you got some really impressive 2D games, and you also have some primitive 3D for the time, too, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I also feel like the Game Boy Advance era was the last time 2D graphics were really pushed. After the Game Boy Advance era, like when Nintendo DS and, you know, Xbox Live came into the picture, 2D games started to become the talk of the town again. Hey, you stole my red shell!
Haha.
You little... Ha, now neither of us get one. How did... Urgh, did you get another boo?
Yes.
Darn it, Steffi. Ah! Frickin' blue shell!
I just threw a blue shell at you from second place!
Ugh. Funny thing about the blue shell in this game, though, you know how you counter in this game, Steffi?
No, I don't.
You actually outrun it.
You can outrun it?
Yeah, so if you can maintain top speed while the blue shell is coming at you, it won't be able to hit you, and eventually it'll just stop trying to chase you, but that's really difficult to do.
Wow. Was this the first game where they gave you a way to escape it?
Pretty much, yeah, I think.
Cool. I thought the first time they did that was Mario Kart 8 with the horn.
Well, you can actually counter it in Mario Kart Wii, too. Like, if you had a mushroom and a blue shell came at you, like, you know where it does that animation where it hovers over top of you and then drops on top of you?
Yes, now that you mention it, I do remember doing that a lot.
Yeah, there is a frame in that animation where if you launch the mushroom, you'll actually escape the explosion just in time. Steffi.
That's what you get for touching my butt.
I did not do that.
Darn it.
How does that line in the Battle of Luigi go? In regards to
Which one?
when they're racing in the Mario Kart?
Oh, I'll
Busting
bust
your
all your
balloons
balloons when I smack your backside.
Oh man, I really hope that doesn't make me look bad. I gotta be careful what I say. And now we're on your home turf, Steffi.
But I'm Peach.
Yeah, but you always like the Bowser Castle stages.
I do, but not the early ones. The early ones are really hard.
No, it's not that hard. I gotta say, Steffi, you're doing really well this time.
Thank you. I'll accept that compliment.
So, what was I saying earlier? 2D games. I feel like the Game Boy Advance was the last time where 2D games were really pushed in regards to presentation. Because after that came the Nintendo DS and Xbox Live, and when that happened, what's it called? Mega Man 9 came out, and that sort of started the whole trend of the retro revival. So instead of really pushing the fidelity of 2D graphics like in, say, the manner Cuphead did, a lot of developers just choose instead to go out of their way to make their games look like old NES games, which I am very much against. Like, it was cute when Mega Man 9 did it, but after that, everyone else started doing it, and it just became redundant and just stagnated technology, I feel. What do you think about that, Steffi?
I'm not really sure how to feel about it. I mean, I think it can be creative sometimes when games try to emulate an old style, like trying to emulate the NES or Super NES, or even those like horror games that try to emulate like the PlayStation 1 graphics. I think it can be a creative way to, what's the word I'm thinking of? To like make your art. But also it is kind of like, I don't really like that they're copying it so much. I like it when people are making these games with the 2D art, but they're making it like their own. Like Shovel Knight and Stardew Valley.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And how did I come in first place? Didn't you win the first two races?
I did, but I came in third in the third race.
Guess that makes sense. Yeah, so far this is still pretty fun. This is Mario Kart as I've always known and loved it, though. Part of me can't help but feel like it just naturally had to take a step backward from Mario Kart 64, going from 64 bits, you know, back to sort of the style of Super Mario Kart. What do you think, Steffi?
Yeah, I kind of agree, but it is pretty funny in the 64 version. They had like cardboard cutouts for the characters, but here they're actually animated.
Yeah. And I feel like they do actually blend better in this setting too, because rather than you know, having 2D characters superimposed over 3D graphics, you have 2D characters imposed over 2D graphics rendered to give the illusion of 3D. So the characters don't feel as out of place as they do in Mario Kart 64.
Definitely. Also, do you get a vibe that this is kind of like an arcade game while you're playing it?
Maybe. And
It feels like I'd be playing this on an arcade machine.
What makes you say that?
Just the bright colors, something about the graphics, and just how fast-paced it is.
I definitely would call it an arcade-style racer. Like, really, when you're talking about racing games, they can broadly be broken up into two different classes. You have arcade racers, which basically refers to anything that's not a sim racer like Gran Turismo, which aims more for realism than, you know, just fast-paced fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you stole that win out from under me, Steffi.
I absolutely did.
How do you do that? How are you doing that?
Well, I was invisible with Boo, and Boo stole a star for me, so I used the star before the invisibility ran off, and caught right up to you and past you.
Okay, the Boo's holding the candles there. That looks really cool, doesn't it?
Looks kind of spooky.
Yeah, and this was before Luigi's Mansion, I think, so...
Oh yeah,
didn't
you're
theme
right.
They didn't theme this level to that.
Well, this reminds me of the Banshee Boardwalk level in 64.
Oh, that one level that we both admit to being scared of when we were kids.
Yes, and wasn't there a Boo stage like this in Super Mario Kart?
Yes, I believe so.
You know what? It's themed after the Boo levels in Super Mario World. That's what it is.
Yeah, very much so, the Boo houses. I hated those levels in that game.
They can be very tricky.
I think that's the whole point. They're supposed to be tricky. It's not a point A to point B thing. They're more like puzzles.
Yeah, like they can be frustrating, but it is cool that they'll have different exits that lead to different places.
Yeah, that was one of the
That was
cool
weird.
Yeah, that was one of the cool components of Super Mario World, that's for sure.
I love Super Mario World.
That's definitely going to be something I cover at one point, but I don't plan to start digging into Mario seriously until I'm done with the Sonic series.
That's fair.
Outside of occasions where, you know, you manage to defeat me and something like this, and maybe you choose one to move up a bit. Like, I think you did that with one of the games. Do you remember what that was?
Well, I asked you to play, Paper Mario.
No. For that one, like, you're going to be coming down my way here soon, so we're going to start with the Mario RPGs. We're going to look at Mario RPG first, and I know they're separate series, but like I feel like you can see sort of the development of ideas with Mario RPGs by looking at the games in order of release. So I still want to do them in order of release, like disregarding the fact that they're all separate franchises. So we're going to start with what is it, Mario RPG when looking at that. So
And that's
if you
totally understandable.
and like so if you win here today, Steffi, don't pick Mario RPG because that's already on the docket.
Alright. I did want to make a comment. When I was trying to catch up at the end of the race here, I used a mushroom right before going over one of those ramps, and it launched me over the finish line. I wish you guys could have seen it.
Yeah, it's one of the drawbacks with having to play like this. Like, we can't see all the crazy stuff that happens on the track. Remember the finish at Calamari Desert when we played Mario Kart 64, Steffi?
Forget.
Remember,
That was legendary.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And Cheese Lands, like I know this track from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yes.
It's so strange playing this level flat, isn't it?
It really is.
Like on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's like a downhill motocross track or something, but this, like... That's a fun track in Deluxe, isn't it?
It is. It's very bouncy, too.
I was watching a video about this. Can you imagine Wallace from Wallace and Gromit being on this track?
No.
With his love of cheese?
That would be awful.
Oh! Steffi, get back here!
No!
Come
Eat
back
my
here!
stuff.
Well, on this track, I would actually eat your dust, wouldn't I?
Yes, you would, because it's cheesy.
You know what it would be like? It would be like the Cheetle, you know that cheesy crap you get on your fingers when you eat Cheetos or Doritos?
Yes.
It'd be like that. Stop!
What did you hit?
I got hit by a red shell.
That wasn't me.
Ugh.
I had green shells.
You are really showing me up tonight, Steffi.
Looks like you might have to play my choice.
Do you have something picked out?
I had a choice and I don't remember what my choice was.
Well, hopefully you remember it by the time we make it to the end of the hour. Though, who knows, I might have closed the gap by then and overtaken you like I always do.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I could always just... Ah, crap.
Is it just
I
me
could
or
always just swamp you at the balloon battle again.
Man, I keep losing at those.
What were you
just trying
saying?
I keep losing at those. I'm just trying to be a good sport when I play that.
I'm doing terribly at this level, by the way.
Where you at?
5th, 6th.
Fifth. Is it just me, or when you roll over the metal grating, does the camera shake, or is that just me?
Yeah, it shakes.
Huh, that's a neat little touch. What do you think of the music in this game, Steffi?
It reminds me a little bit of Final Fantasy.
Really? Actually, I can see
Yeah.
that now that I'm listening to it. That was one of the weaknesses of the Game Boy Advance, though. It had a pretty poor sound chip, all things considering. And those tiny little speakers didn't help matters either. You know,
They had to get creative with it.
You know that one feature that I really criticized the Game Boy SP for leaving out?
What's that?
It didn't have a headphone jack.
It didn't.
Yeah. Ain't that
Huh.
a weird exclusion?
Did the regular Game Boy Advance have one?
Yeah, I did.
That's weird.
Very weird, isn't it?
Well, I see you didn't score first in this one either.
Yeah, well, I still scored higher than you, and that's half the battle.
You did. You did.
I'm not racing these other guys, I'm racing you.
Well, it
These
looks like
other
we're
guys are
tied.
just obstacles in my quest to destroy you, Steffi.
Also, I haven't been keeping track of our score.
Okay, so
Do you remember
we got...
how many points you had in the first cup?
Well, I know I had more than you there, so... And
Do you
we
want to
tied
do it
here,
just by
so...
moving up?
Let's just say I'm ahead by, I think, 3 points right now.
Okay.
So we'll say I have 27 and I have 30 and you have 27 right now. How's that sound?
Okay. You have 30 and I have 27. I will write that down.
DK. Donkey Kong. Huh. Just taking a second to look at these race sprites. I like the Sunset Wilds one. Makes me think of Redline. Oh man,
I
wouldn't
love
that be an
Redline.
awesome game?
That would be.
Like anime F-Zero taken to the most illogical extreme. That would be the coolest thing ever. And I think they had this track in Mario Kart DS, if I'm not mistaken.
Can't remember.
It's been a while since
Been
I
so
played
long
Mario
since I
Kart
played
DS.
that one.
How often do you go back to old entries in the Mario Kart series, Steffi?
I don't have my DS anymore, so well, I don't have Mario Kart DS anymore, so I haven't played that one in a while.
Well, I'm not just talking about Mario Kart DS, I'm just talking about Mario Kart games in general, because I feel like whenever we play Mario Kart, we just kind of default to Mario Kart Deluxe.
Yeah, I mean, I mainly play Deluxe or Double Dash. I think those are the best.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to do Double Dash with you while you are here for your visits next week. So,
Me too.
yeah, I got something special planned for that. It's going to be a great big epic 4-player game.
It's gonna be
Me
so
and
much
Steffi
fun.
got warriors who are going to ride shotgun with us, so it'll be a good time. That's actually something I wanted to say to you, Steffi. Recently, I was watching Fury Road, and the bit where you got Nox driving that pursuit special with his buddy on the back. The way he was hanging on and throwing the spears at people. Is it just me, or did that make you think of Mario Kart Double Dash?
Sure did. That's so funny. Maybe they
Yeah.
were inspired by Mario Kart.
Well, the whole idea there is they were supposed to look like chariots.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
Man, it's such a good movie. And, like, I saw Furiosa again, and watching it a second time, Steffi, there's just so many cool details that I missed the first time around. Like, it's such a good movie.
Well, I did really badly on this track.
Ooh, man. Dang. 1 second, Steffi. I'm going to switch from my headphones to my speakers.
Okay.
Let's see. No, that's... shit. Come on. Dadgummit. Yeah, I was just trying to get the sound to come in, and now I'm not getting any music out of the game itself, so I probably just screwed something up. Let me reboot my capture software real quick. Technical difficulties, the struggles of live streaming. Or your game... Well, wait, no, you don't get to say that until you actually win. It's not something that's embarrassing, is it? Why am I not getting any sound out of this? I hear you. Let me fix the sound real quick. Dadgummit, why does this have to happen now? Stupid headphones. It still says it's coming in. It still says it's coming in, but for some reason I'm not hearing it. Oh, here's the problem. No, that's not it either. Got it going. Hold on a a sec. I got full screen. I'm sorry, Steffi. I'm sorry, viewers. This is what I get for not charging my headphones. What place you in, Steffi? I guess you won't get to pick that game after all. Well, I could always do really badly. Did you do that, Steffi? Why did you do that? I thought you were always in last place. Well, when we play one-on-one, that's usually the case. Yeah, it is. I always win. I win most of the time. You can see right through me, Steffi. Why you gotta go bring that up? As in the game audio? Hold on a sec. When I finish this race, I'll pull it up and see if I can hear it. The game audio? I think I know what the problem is. Say something, Steffi? Yeah, Discord just connected from the window. Try it now. Still not getting anything out of it. What the hell? Okay, so Discord. Okay, what on earth is going on here? Technical difficulties, folks. Gotta love them. Yeah. Yeah, it's so annoying. I don't even know what to do about this, because I can't think of anything to do other than cutting off the stream and starting it up again. Closing out my software and everything. Yeah, if you really want to do that, Steffi. So, cutting it short because of technical difficulties. So, Mario Kart Super Circuit, what do you think of it, Steffi? Why am I even do this? They can't hear. Okay, so... Okay, Mario Kart Super Circuit, so... This is so bad. You know what? Forget this. I am just going to close everything out, and I'm going to restart the stream, Steffi. Okay, so... Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. God, this is embarrassing. I may not even post this video. It's falling apart so much. Man, why isn't it working? Okay, so I'm just gonna get my final thoughts, Steffi, and we're gonna call it here. Okay, so Mario Kart Super Circuit. This actually is a really fun game, and I'm really glad that Nintendo has made it possible for us to play it with friends on Nintendo Switch over the online service. Though, all that being said, it really is a step backwards from Mario Kart 64, though that kind of comes with the territory when you think about it. We are going from a console to a handheld game, and, you know, we wouldn't have proper 3D graphics until Nintendo DS, so best of what it could do, and for what it was still a fun time, though. This is still probably, you know, the Mario Kart game I recommend the least in the series. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I apologize for the technical difficulties and everything. I will be better about it, but these things happen when you're doing the live stream. Steffi, I know that people can't hear you right now, but thank you for joining me tonight. You know what? I'm just going to be a good sport, and I'm going to let you pick the next game for the stream anyway. So what did you want me to play? Oh, yeah. So next time, we're going to be playing Kirby's Dream Land, I think it is. So the first Kirby game. So join me for that next week, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good night and take care.